And we are live with the 21st edition of Nansen Office Hours. How you doing this week, Alex?
Doing well. I managed to stay safe of SafeMoon. And you?
Well, stay safe in what way? I mean, stay safe from making generational wealth.
Yeah, I saw this guy who made, what was it, $20 million based on a $200 investment or something like that.
Yeah, there's a few such crazy projects these days where they're just mooning.
Did you get some? What is it? SafeMoon or MoonSafe? I feel like a boomer asking this question, but
I think it's SafeMoon.
SafeMoon. Okay.
I didn't get any. The opportunity passed me by, unfortunately.
And how many Doge coins do you have?
You know, now you're really highlighting that I'm not getting in, that I'm a mid-curver.
Yeah.
We gotta update our models here. We gotta go either far left or far right. Maybe that should be a new label that we roll out. Mid-curve investor, left curve investor, right curve investor.
That's pretty good. Just have like an IQ score generated.
Yes, exactly. It's the new version of the DGen score. But
yeah, it's smart money, but it's continuous instead of just binary.
Yeah. We're inferring your intellectual horsepower from your trades.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's been pretty wild in the markets. Not a great weekend, obviously. Things started tanking pretty heavily on. I guess it was Sunday here in Asia. I don't know if it was Saturday night in the US. We had a bit of a recovery on Monday morning in Asia, but then the US woke up and shat the bed, if I can put it like that. But yeah, it seems like the markets are recovering a bit though.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit scary. I actually kind of wasn't looking too closely at the markets over the weekend, and then woke up on Sunday and was like, oh no, what has happened?
Yeah, it was. I think in hindsight, it looks like it might have been it was a good opportunity to buy some of your favorite long-term tokens, but let's see how it plays out over the next few weeks.
Yeah, people got to be buying the dips. Although this one felt like a pretty scary dip. I think everyone on Twitter, well, a bunch of people on Twitter were like, all right, this is now's the time to buy, and then the kind of dump extended another day, and everyone's like, all right, this is the end, sell, and then it recovered. And I guess that's the way it is when you feel this like gut feeling of like, oh no, I got to dump, when you're about to puke the bottom, as they say. You gotta think twice.
No, I think it is really interesting. It is a bit scary that all these extreme retail coins or meme coins or whatever you want to call them are pumping so hard with like or not even forks, but like clones of Dogecoin with all these silly dog names and stuff like that. And it was, of course, it was 420, right? The 20th of April. It didn't hit $1, as far as I know.
I think it peaked at like low 40 cents.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is pretty insane, also.
Yeah. I saw someone making a comment that if you'd bought Dogecoin, it was like a much better investment than Bitcoin. Like pretty much whenever you bought it. So
yeah, I like that you called them extreme retail coins.
Yeah,
I'm not even sure what that means, but
well, it's like most crypto coins are retail coins, right? So it's like these ones have to be like extreme retail. The only coin that's probably not or that you could argue is not only a retail coin at this point is like Bitcoin.
Right. I guess so. Maybe. I don't know.
Extreme retail. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's dive into some dashboards here. To anyone who's just joined the session, welcome. This is the weekly office hours that Alex and I do. We dive into dashboards. We shoot the shit. I don't know I don't know if that's kosher to say on YouTube. We shoot the
I'll
breeze.
allow it. Yeah.
We shoot the breeze, and we try and find some interesting opportunities in the dashboards. If you have any questions throughout the session, feel free to ask in the chat. If you have any projects you'd like us to dive into, feel free to mention it as well, and hopefully we'll get to it throughout the session. So without further ado, let's dive in.
All right. Should I just ape in to hot contracts as usual?
Yeah. Screen share first, please.
Let's see. Boom. Can you see my screen?
I sure can.
Alrighty. Yeah, as always, probably good to mention that we are making some UI tweaks. And so bear with us while we're migrating everything over from V1 to V2. I should already close my Discord here. But yeah, hot contracts, we're making some changes to it. Also, I don't know if you can notice, but the background now is actually darker than it has been before, because our product designer and our front-end developers found it more visually pleasing. So they went ahead and made the background a little bit darker. But
I agree that it's more visually pleasing when it's slightly darker. I think it was a bit too what's it, like evening mode, not night mode, or like not dark mode. It was like the kind of in between stage.
Now it's like proper dark mode, so that's good. So hot contracts shows you inflow into various different new smart contracts, and you can sort by 1 hour or 1 day. I think on some screens you will have more columns. Again, this is something that's being tweaked a bit, like 7 days, for example. And you can also sort by the number of smart money wallets that have been depositing over the last day. Right away, I see some interesting stuff just like playing around with the sorting, which is a good idea to do. So the smart money depositors, I think it's often quite interesting because you can see what the smart money is actually participating in. And I see these two, based, comp staking, and I think this is mBased staking.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know about these projects or
yeah,
this project?
From DeFi Summer, I remember based in the extreme memes that they had.
Yeah.
But I never followed along too closely. But they've got a site called, I think, based.loans that they just finally rolled out. And yesterday they were, I think they launched the token, BLO.
And they did like a flash, what was it called? Flash mint or something like that? Flash farm?
For like 420 seconds or something, right?
Yeah, on 420, which makes sense. So I guess this is the kind of remnants of that inflow, right? And then you see the money actually flowing out again now, right?
Yeah.
That's what I would imagine.
Yeah, I think so.
We could actually look at this though. So comp staking, for example, like you could drill down and look at who's been interacting with this address. We could also look at the comp deposits into, actually I'll spin that up in the background here. Just doing a little shortcut to get the wallet profiler for token in the background.
And then we could also check out the top depositors.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea, actually. Let's do that. Actually, this one I'll show you. I'm clicking on top depositors. And now I'm going to just plug in the deposit address, which I copied from here. You could also, get it from if you just click this, you'll get the address. So copy this one in here. And then we need to get the token address. So we're looking at comp. This, for now, you have to go to Etherscan, but this is being worked on to improve. But we just grab the comp address, plug that in there, and then show top depositors. Boom, that was fast. Oh yeah, because we had a cached version. It's probably going to look pretty similar. You have like token balance here, not that many comp tokens left because people probably got out after they were joining. So maybe you can sort by incoming, because then you also get to see who was active but is currently not active. you see a lot of smart money here, actually. You see smart LPs, you see the infamous 0xB1. You see some Flash Boys, some elite DEX traders. Yeah, that's interesting. And you could drill down on this and say, let's look at 0xB1 and their comp holdings to see perhaps where they move their comp afterwards. Oh, I didn't know they own the god.eth.
That's a pretty good one. What else do they have? Wow, they've got some some interesting ones in there.
Yeah, this is pretty good as well. Rest in peace.
But I wonder if some of those were sent to them, like
yeah, probably,
and then they sent them away.
Whoa, Epic NFT collector as well. Oh, we should mention we have NFT collector labels now.
Yeah, let's dive into that. Maybe after this, let's explain what those heuristics mean and how they're assigned.
Let's do it. But for now, I just dove into this address because, how do we get here? A quick recap: we were at hot contracts, then we saw this comp staking address, right? And we looked at the top depositors into that, and we sorted by incoming to see who has been depositing the most comp historically into this address in gross terms. And the answer, well, there were several, but we saw 0xB1, and we know that 0xB1 is kind of like an on-chain influencer that manages a lot of money. And so we drill down on the profiler over here to get to their wallet profiler for the comp token. So here you see what they've been doing with their comp token, right? You see Compound, Dodo, SushiSwap, Uniswap, Cream, Based, Yield Wars, One-Inch Exchange, Mythcash, etc. And you can even sort by the individual transactions here and say, hey, I just want to look at the latest ones. And it looks like they actually got them from, I think this is a maker contract, but maybe this is something we could label even better. But Gem Join is one of the MakerDAO contracts. So I wonder if maybe they pulled out some comp tokens from Maker. And then it went into a DS proxy. And we could have a look at that as well. But it's probably some DS proxy that they control.
So one of the ways that this that dashboard is helpful, like the wallet profiler for token, is if you find some prolific yield farmers, so whether they're a smart money address like 0xB1 or other addresses that you find, and you want to figure out how they're capturing yield on their assets, whether it's comp or YFI or Maker or something like that, you can toss that into wallet profiler for token and just see what they've interacted with. So for example, it looks like these guys have gotten, comp yield on Yield Wars, Mythcash, all these different places, Dodo. So if you're sitting on comp and you want to make the most of it, you want to earn more yield on it, here are some ideas for you.
Yeah, I think we said that last time, but every wallet profiler for a smart money address is like a case study on its own. You can probably learn something from it. And actually, while you were talking, I think I figured out that what they did here was they just put the comp into what is probably a vault, because it's a DS proxy contract. The MakerDAO system is a little bit confusing with the contracts, but it looks to me like they deposited comp into a vault and then they started minting DAI against it.
Got it.
That's what it looks like to me. Not 100% sure, but that's what it looks like, because you can see the minting going on here.
So another thing we could just quickly show is on Wallet Profiler, if you still have that open.
Mm-hmm. You mean the normal Wallet Profiler? This one? Or?
Yeah. Oh, so this is based comp staking. Can we do Wallet Profiler for that 0xB1 address?
Yeah, definitely.
One thing we can point out is what it means when people are interacting with the zero address. Because I wonder if in Wallet Profiler it'll show up as a lot of interactions from DS proxy or from the zero address.
Yeah, it'll show up as well. The tokens received will be from the zero address. So if we just, I mean, here's a lot of ether, right? By the way, pretty impressive activity on this wallet. Also, pretty clear sleep schedule. Human controlled, I imagine. They don't take the weekends off though. So yeah, you can see the ETH actually here. This is a very similar view as what we looked at before with comp. But I guess your point was if we look at the wallets that they interacted with, the zero address is actually the top one in terms of number of transactions. And I think that's because they tend to mint and burn a lot of DAI.
Yeah, or any tokens really, where like you put something in and you get tokens that get minted on the fly.
Yeah, that's true. Like yield farms and stuff like that. Which it depends a bit. Like some yield farms will give you tokens from the zero address. Other ones will just have them in the farm that or in the contract that you're farming from. But yeah, so I would imagine it's not that clear to see here. Actually, you know, what you could do, we could show something quite cool. If you look at there's something a dashboard that not a lot of people know about, but it's quite interesting. Wallet pair profiler. So this one you can plug in 2 different addresses. And let's just take the zero address. We can see what they've been doing with the zero address. And this should show like all transactions, or at least like the 2,000 transactions or something between these 2 addresses. And let's see how clear it'll be what they have been doing. It could be nice to have like a summary here as well. Yeah, it's actually this is not very nicely displayed if the front end team is watching. But you see like
pains.
Sorry?
Growing pains of transferring over to the new interface.
Yeah, that's allowed. But we could just click through this, right? And like you see, there are some tokens that are not even with the symbol here. I mean, these could be also kind of like scammy tokens that people are minting and just sending them directly to the 0xB1, or they could be something more interesting. But if you click through it, you see like there's a lot of DAI. Oh, there was like 3 pool curve, Aave wrapped ether, Aave maker.
Can you click in on some of these transactions? I'm curious to see what what these tokens are.
You want to get like sushi, this X sushi here?
No, one of the ones with an unlisted token.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's look at this.
Or unlabeled.
Inverse, is it?
Inverse.
Yeah. No. Oh, yeah, no. Okay, this is why. It's because they are LP tokens for like Sushi Swap or. And typically those are, we could plug in like Uni LP or Sushi LP or something like that, but we just leave them as the token address for now, But so if they're providing liquidity, which is like, yeah, that's what they're doing here, right? That's what they're doing there as well. There's a lot of liquidity provisioning going on. Makes sense. MUSD, yeah. They're like extremely active though. It's quite fascinating.
It's interesting to think of how they, well, for one, how much they're spending on gas. This is probably one of the most like gas heavy wallets. But if they are not maxing out on gas every time, how they're queuing up these transactions, and like, given that in a certain day they're spending like, or they're doing like hundreds of transactions, how they coordinate sending out those transactions, how they orchestrate.
Yeah. It is pretty fascinating. I don't actually know, but it'll be really interesting to study their wallet a lot more. Like you could probably set off, if you wanted to, you could probably do like a PhD thesis on this wallet, to be honest. But like, Just doing like a couple of days, like looking into it from all the different perspectives and understand like what the hell are they doing. It's probably a lot of alpha to be leaked here.
Yeah. All right. Should we dive into? This was cool, by the way, doing the wallet pair profiler. I hadn't thought of doing that before.
Yeah, it's quite nice actually, especially if you're doing some investigations and you come across like two different wallets that are seemingly related. You can just plug it in there and you can see like everything that the two wallets have been doing together, like transactions back and forth.
Yeah. Let's dive in on the NFT labels.
Yeah, NFT labels. Okay. Would be nice to have an actual example. Well, we had this one, right? So 0xB1 actually has an Epic NFT collector. So the concept here is like most people might be familiar with Medium Dex Trader, and also the other Dex Trader labels like Heavy Dex Trader and Elite Dex Trader. And so here we have something that is analogous, but with NFTs. To keep things simple, we just based it on the number of NFT trades that you have done. So the more trades you have done, the higher your tier is. And if I recall correctly, the different tiers are, there's a basic one, which is just NFT collector. Then the next one is uncommon NFT collector. And then you have rare NFT collector, epic NFT collector, which is what this wallet has. And you have at the top, legendary NFT collector. And so, of course, the names are taken from, the world of NFTs and like, gaming. That's why we named them in this way. But you should definitely check your own wallet to see what status you ended up at if you are active trading NFTs.
So the labels are based on number of ERC 721 trades, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe you can pull up docs.nansen.ai real quick. And just, I think they're in there. So people can check that out whenever.
Yeah, do we have that address or do I have to just grab my... You need to look up my... Oh, yeah, wait. So you mean this one, right?
Yeah. Just for just to show where people can find the label definitions. Yeah.
So if you're interested in understanding like what do these mean, and now of course I'm curious to see if we actually have added. Oh yeah, we have. That's nice. Epic NFT collector. There we go. In top 1% in number of ERC 721 token transactions. Legendary in top 0.1% in number of ERC 721 token transactions. Rare, top 2.5, and then uncommon is top 10%.
I feel like we should have a leaderboard almost for these things, since we're tracking like number of transactions or number of ERC 20 transactions, ERC 721 transactions, being able to rank who's sending the most would be quite interesting.
Yep. Can.
All right. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. We have someone joining soon who's going to work on an NFT God mode dashboard. Maybe it's something they could add to the list.
What are the broad strokes of that? Like, have you thought through like what some of the things are going to be in there?
NFT God mode, or that's the working name, of course.
Yeah.
Well, actually, NFT God mode should be analogous to token God mode. So you should be able to plug in specific NFT sets, if we can call them that, like Axie or Gods Unchained. Is that what it's called? And so on. So you'd probably want to see things like how many holders are there. You'd want to see like transactions and probably the latest marketplace transactions, like where people actually buy NFTs, the price they paid for them and things like that. Maybe the top holders in terms of both number and the total value of the NFTs, similar to like the top balances. So I think stuff like that but I'm actually not personally super deep down in the NFT rabbit hole. So maybe there are some comments in the chat, or even maybe you have some ideas because you're more into NFTs than I am, I think.
Off the top of my head, nothing overly creative. Like I've got some fundamental ideas on dashboards we should probably do. But I think it depends on if we do high level stuff or if we actually, as you mentioned, like dive in on collections and let someone put in a deployer wallet, for example, and see everything that they've launched, and then basically like show the deployer and then also show the collectors, and maybe do some like we just showed the wallet pair profiler. Another kind of underused dashboard is the token overlap one. We could probably do something with like token overlap between NFT collections, and so we show big overlap. So people who are collecting hash masks also collect
this
waifus, or also collect bull run babes, or
definitely that's a good idea. In fact, that should probably be in the NFT God mode dashboard itself, right? Like if you're looking at Axie, you should just see what are the most similar other NFTs.
Yeah. Similar NFTs is an interesting idea, or like kind of the top like holders of this one, the most common overlap are these ones. Kind of like like Amazon's like recommended product section kind of thing. Like if you liked if you liked bull run babes, you'll love waifus.
Yeah. By the way, going back to this moon-based comp staking, only 131 addresses interacting with it. So but I mean, you had our friend 0xB1 that probably just crushed the yields, I guess. But oh, look at that, Leshner.
Where are those addresses pulled from when it's an app like that?
I think this comes from what is it called? This Uniswap DAO list. I think Sybil something. It's like a DAO, an overview of DAO identities.
Right, but it's like self-doxed, right?
Yes. It's not us doxing. It's us grabbing the data from an open source data set.
Right. In the chat, someone mentioned there an Epic NFT collector. So we've got some people excited already with the
nice
with the labels.
So you made it. They're actually an Epic NFT collector. That's cool.
Yeah. All right, let's keep digging through here. If anyone in the chat has any projects they want us to look into, we're happy to dive in here. Otherwise, we can probably check out, go back to hot contracts, which is a really good starting point for any investigation.
Yeah, let's do it.
The other place we could go real quick, I think we've shown this before, but on the Smart Money dashboard, going to contract interactions and seeing what Smart Money has been interacting with.
Yep, could do that. All right, let's see. What is Akita?
I think that was that like Shib as well. I think it's these like weird dog tokens.
Leash. What the hell? Yeah, these are. I actually didn't think that these would show up that high. That's hilarious. So Akita is actually referring to the dog breed.
I think so.
And
yeah.
Shib as well. That's hilarious.
Let's see if we click through on the maker and taker token. What if there's a link to the website?
Akita Akita token. What? 20,000 transactions? Is this legit? Well, it's not legit, but What should we put this up into like custom token god mode, or
Well, we have it listed, right?
maybe we do. I'm not sure actually. I mean, you could try that. Was it Akita? I'm gonna just try it separately in, where is it? Token god mode custom. Just gonna plug this in here as well, so I'm curious.
In the chat,
I don't think we have the Akita.
Emily says it's a Doge ripoff. Yeah, it's one of the 6 Japanese breeds. There are 4 more available if anyone wants to launch tokens. There's four untaken dog breeds to use up.
Oh, look at this! What the hell, man? Oh, I think maybe we do have the decimals wrong, or does it have this like hilarious amount of tokens?
Yeah, probably.
Yes, there's smart money in here actually. Nice, Vitalik. Okay, so they basically just airdrop like tons of Akita tokens to Vitalik. That's pretty funny.
So a couple things we could check. One would be who's actually providing liquidity to this, and see if there's any smart money. So clicking on top depositors for the Uniswap pool. The other thing you could do is take that the Uniswap LP token and toss that into Token God Mode Custom, and see the holders of the LP token.
Yeah, to figure it out taking or
yeah, kind of
the
to see
number
what
kind of
see what
screwed
they're
up.
doing.
There's actually some smart money in here. That's really fascinating. That's hilarious.
Yeah. I think I saw when this one launched, there was a huge flash trade. I remember seeing on one of the dashboards. So okay, so the pool creator here put in 39 or almost still has, what is that, 40 trillion?
40 gazillion. Like, yeah, what is this? 40 trillion, I think, right?
Yeah. Damn. $40 trillion of a token.
Oh yeah, that doesn't work because we didn't list the coin.
Right.
It needs to be fixed. A lot of elite DEX traders too. One uncommon NFT collector.
Oh, and there's the robot, the triple robot guy.
This one, yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I think it makes sense that there would be like a lot of people participating in the Uniswap pool just due to the like absurd level of volume on the token from random people pumping it, the extreme retail pumping it.
Yeah. It is what I find a bit interesting is that there's actually quite a bit of smart money trading these tokens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the smart money is just looking for opportunities. It doesn't. It's like the CMS's line: "Do you want to make money or do you want to be right?" And like most of the smart money just wants to make money on some of these trades.
No, absolutely. So it's not judgment as such. It's just kind of fascinating that they're actually participating in it.
Yeah. So here on contract interactions, frequently I'll just check this out and then poke through a few of the pages and see if anything pops up. So for example, if you go back, that AAPX, for example, and then just click through on Etherscan and see if there's any link to the website. So AmpNet, what is this? Ampnet.io. We should also mention nothing in this session is financial advice. Don't ape in based on what you see here.
Yeah. So we could plug this into God Mode Custom.
Yeah. Well, usually I'll just pop open the website as well, which they had listed there.
This.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, this is usually a quick way of figuring out if it's worth digging into deeper, or if it is like a yield farm or something like that.
Yeah. There is a pool here. Could look at the depositors of that.
One of the things that I think a lot of people, so with SHIB and all these dog ripoffs, like Dogcoin, not Doge, but like dogs, and SafeMoon and stuff like that. I think there's going to be a lot of money flowing into long tail tokens just as like random bets. So I think we'll continue to see a lot of like weird long tail assets getting just a few $1,000s thrown at them.
Agree. Definitely agree with that. I mean, the SafeMoon is a pretty good example.
Well, yeah. But now that now that retail has been, and us have been exposed to this idea that just by betting on these weird random assets that are being shilled far and wide, we're in the phase of the market right now where those will actually pump in a significant way.
Yeah. It's kind of a lottery, right? In that sense. You might just get lucky and buy the right coin.
Yeah. So the next thing we can probably look into or mention real quick here is if you do buy some of these long tail coins, one thing you can do is turn on a smart alert for them. So if you want to kind of set it and forget it, you just want to put in like $100 into, a bunch of different random long tail coins. You don't want to be monitoring it every day. You can turn on a smart alert for it and set a minimum USD threshold to like 100K or 50K or something like that. So you can see when people start aping in a serious way.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You want to demo how to do it?
Smart alerts, add trigger. There are two types of triggers. So which one did you want to do first?
Just a simple trigger.
So let's do like look for a specific token or like a specific address. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we can just demo it, for example, with Aave or something like that, like just any
large Aave transfers, right? And so you just get show more, so you can get some more fields to plug in. These are like filters. So tokens, we probably do Aave like this. There are a lot of Aave related tokens, but this is the one we want, the actual Aave token. We might want to do, I don't know, 1 million. Maybe that's too low, but that's the threshold. And if you see a transaction above 1 million in the Aave token, you then get a Telegram, Discord, or Slack notification. You could also narrow it down to smart money and just only get smart money transactions. You can also get only the top, and the top is basically like the top addresses on certain metrics, like high gas consumers, high balances, highly active addresses, and things like that. So they're kind of like their own segment. They're not quite smart money, but they're also like noteworthy addresses. Yeah, so that's one thing you can do. We also have like advanced token transfers, advanced smart alerts, but I'm not sure we want to go into that.
Yeah, you can probably skip it for now. But one thing I want to mention here is when you're setting smart alerts, you should always make them as specific as possible to avoid having a noisy trigger.
Yeah.
If you're getting pinged 100 times a day for things that aren't that relevant for you, you're probably going to mute it, which at that point ruins the value of having alerts. So make them as specific as possible, filter them down as much as possible, and really try and just get specific stuff. The other thing,
I think the other thing I would mention there is, and this was a bit of a mindset shift for me personally. When I started using them, I thought, I'll just create some smart alerts that will be like evergreen, and they'll always be useful. But in practice, that's not how it works. In practice, you actually end up deleting your smart alerts, setting up new ones quite frequently, because it's really based on what your positions are and what you're looking at the moment. So if you just discovered a new token and you're interested in it, obviously you set up a new smart alert for that. If you exited a position, like you dumped some tokens that you're no longer holding, you can just switch off the former smart alerts, right? Unless you're like planning on jumping in again. So I would think of these smart alerts as like they're actually a living thing that you constantly update, depending on like both your strategy and your current portfolio.
Agreed. We've got a couple of messages in the chat here that I think we can dive into. So there's a question here from Yura. He says, the Smart Money dashboard shows a lot of DEX trades by Flash Boys. It looks like a lot of these trades are bot sandwich attacks. Is it useful to know what sandwich bots are trading?
That's a cool question. Is it useful to know what they're trading? I guess you mean like what tokens they're trading, right? And I think in practice, I mean, yeah, that I think that is useful, because first of all, you will know if there's a high chance that you will get sandwiched if you make a high slippage trade. Side note here, we're actually doing some work on sandwich attacks, and very soon you'll have labels to indicate if a wallet has been sandwich attacking other addresses, but also if you've been the victim of a sandwich attack. And we will probably also soon-ish release a dashboard where you can plug in your address to see all the sandwich attacks that you've been hit by.
I didn't realize we were working on that. That's that is pretty interesting.
Yeah, we have like an 80-20 solution internally already, and one of our research engineers, I gave him one of my wallets because I knew I'd been sandwich attacked once. And I said, hey, you can take this as a trial because I know I've been sandwich attacked. And he came back, he's like, you actually been sandwich attacked twice. And I didn't know about it.
So in practice, what does that mean? Like what actually happens?
Yeah, what is a sandwich attack?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what happens is that if you have typically a high slippage trade, let's say you're buying or selling some tokens. Let's say you're buying a token, and it's a pretty like long tail token, doesn't have a lot of liquidity. So when you buy it and you buy like a relatively large amount, you will incur a slippage, and so you set your tolerance to slippage to be quite high when you trade on Uniswap, and this gives it creates an opportunity for a front runner or kind of an adversarial address that sees your transaction and that you're willing to do this trade even if you have a pretty big slippage. So what they will do is they will clone your transaction, but they will put a higher gas price. So they sneak ahead of you in the line to basically front run you and buy the tokens before you, the exact same amount of tokens that you wanted to buy. And then you have to buy the tokens right after them, right? So you're now buying at a higher price because they picked up the tokens that you wanted to buy from the Uniswap pool. So you end up having to pay a higher price. And then they just sell the tokens back into the pool afterwards. And so that's why we call them sandwich attacks, because they first, get ahead of you. If you just think of this in you place them temporally, they first get ahead of you and then they, dump the tokens again afterwards. So they basically do a risk-free arbitrage trade, but it's a temporal arbitrage trade, but within the same block typically.
How is that conceptually different from front running?
I mean, it's the same thing. It's just that so I'd say it's a subclass of front running. There are other ways you can front run people than doing this, but these ones are very very, the pattern is very clear, and it's like a sandwich.
Got it. Okay. Very interesting.
So you can imagine there are other types of front running, right? Like you can imagine someone just buying the tokens before you, but then actually holding on to them, right? That's not like the same. That's not a sandwich trade, but it's still front running.
So, okay, cool. So one extra thing I'll mention is on this dashboard, if you want to filter out Flash Boys, you can do that. So you can select all the subsegments other than Flash Boys. Or if you want to just look at Flash Boys, you can select them as well.
So this is just going to show the Flash Boys.
Mm-hmm. In theory.
A little bit slow. This
Yeah,
one is being worked on at the moment to be reskinned, and it's going to be snappier.
The old dashboards without the caching are definitely a bit more tricky to work with here.
Yeah, they're not great. They're really slow, but the new ones are nice.
Yeah. Do you pull this up on a regular basis, or
the DEX trades?
Yeah,
I haven't in a while, but it is quite nice if you're just kind of like you just want to see what's happening. It is quite nice because you can suddenly see some tokens like, hey, like what the hell is Woo, and some Flash Boy is trading them. Actually, maybe this. Oh, let's look at this one. Maybe is that an actual sandwich attack live? No, I don't think so because they bought it. No, it's just one. I think it's just one transaction actually. Yeah, this is like someone just dunking in 500,000 for like $343,000. So they're dumping Woo for USDT. Interesting. Yeah, stuff like that. It's more like it's kind of serendipitous, right? This dashboard. It just like gives you random but interesting transactions, and they just pop up in real time.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to watch when the market is moving in a big way.
Yes,
you can see like, so what one of the piece of advice I saw on Twitter recently is basically like, after a big dump, see what has held up, like what has held up in price. I mean, this is kind of like obvious advice, but see what has held up in price and what has gotten dumped in a significant way. And so if you're watching this dashboard when the markets are dumping, you can kind of get a kind of gut feeling of what is being dumped in a significant way.
Yeah, I have to say, I think that's a really good point because we're used to looking at aggregates, but when you see stuff at like an individual level, it sometimes it gives you a different intuition of what's happening in the market. And so you can spot patterns that you wouldn't normally see if you had aggregated them at like just like volume numbers or whatever it is. So if you see individual transactions, sometimes you get a better intuition of what's happening.
Yeah, completely agree. Although, again, then it's a bit dangerous because then you might have this gut feeling that is not fully based on fact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like right. you see stuff getting bought up. So here, for example, like we're seeing Alchemist getting bought up. Or like getting bought up quite a bit. I've seen multiple Alchemist tokens, but when you see that, is it actually getting bought up in a broader way, or is it just a kind of one-off transaction? So
yeah, good question. There's another one, right?
I think is that the same one that just got bumped.
34 E. Oh yeah, it's the same. Right. SCP 72 Ether for 170,000 DAI. Yeah, it's quite mesmerizing to just watch this stuff. But yeah, so it's a different. I think this one is it's pretty cool because it's quite different from our other dashboards.
Grumpy. One grumpy token.
This one, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. ShopX. don't know what this stuff is. You can see it's also so much more visible how much of the trades are Uniswap trades.
Yeah. So in the back end, wow, these are some big transactions coming in. Is that more Alchemist? Yeah.
That's more Alchemist.
Who's doing it? Who's doing it? What's the price action right now?
Alchemist? Let's see. Which one is it though? This one?
Missed, yeah. Wow. Hello.
Bumping. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, so stuff like that, right? Like I would never have thought of looking at that, but now we did.
Yeah. So when these transactions are rolling in like this is basically like when a new block comes in, all of these transactions get picked up.
That's right. So we're basically listening to new blocks, and as they get mined, we take all the contents, we parse them out, and we say, hey, this is a balancer transaction, this is SushiSwap, this is Uniswap. We pull out like what's the taker, or who's the taker and maker. We join it with our labels, right? 80 million plus labels that we have on addresses. We also pull out like what's the amount of the tokens, and we also enrich the data with a USD equivalent so that it's easy to spot. Oh, like this, it's like a big one here. Or a few big ones, like a $400,000 transaction, right? Interesting. Well, just buying Ether, but that's cool. Yeah, and so we basically parse all this stuff out from the blocks on the fly, and then we just stream it to this front end.
You mentioned before in the sandwich attacks that people are checking if there's high slippage, or like people that have high slippage tolerances. How does one check that? Is that like included in a transaction? You set your slippage tolerance?
Yep, that's right. That's how it works on Uniswap, for example. You would set your slippage tolerance.
Would it make sense for us to have like a column in here saying what someone's slippage tolerance was?
Yeah, that's another good question, because we had someone ask for this to get historical slippage tolerances, and we have the data, but we didn't include it here because not all dexes have this, so it would be maybe a bit confusing. But certainly that's something we could do. I mean, we could definitely look at this. I'm not sure if it's too technical to include it here, but yeah, it would be interesting to have a look at that.
Yeah. We've got a few questions in the chat here.
It's more Alchemist. Look at that.
These are some big buys.
Should we? I'm curious, like what these guys are doing with
the Alchemist.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, they're also buying Akita. Like we were just looking at Shiba, Liquidity. Huh. Oh, there's more. Oh, actually, there's quite a lot of Alchemist accumulation. It seems like.
What address are you looking at right now?
I'm picking one of the addresses that bought Alchemist. Like 34 Ether. It's like $80,000. I mean, it's something. Alchemist. I think we've got this. Maybe we should just put mist on this one, but I think we have Alchemist.
While that pulls up, let's answer a couple of these questions in the chat. So Tom asks, does Nansen assist in understanding token emission schedules / lockup expirations?
We have done this for a few projects like SNX, for example, which was one of the first projects to have a clear like vesting schedule. Typically, the lockups they're kind of bespoke. There's not like a standard way to do it. certainly, like, we can help with this if someone wants to investigate something. We don't have like very good dashboard support for this right now. It could be interesting to try to add that in, though, because typically you can figure it out. I mean, you can always figure it out because it's a smart contract that controls the lockup, right? So if it's an open source contract, you can figure it out. But it's often not that easy to do, like, in a standardized way across all the different lockup schedules or different smart contracts that have lockups.
One thing you could check would be on this dashboard, checking token balances over time for the top holders. And so if it's if you keep scrolling down, this
you mean these ones?
Yeah. So I mean, it ain't pretty, but but you can see some of these top balances, and if it's a vesting contract, you'll see it slowly start emitting the tokens.
Yeah. And then, of course, if you know which contract is being used to emit tokens, you can also look at the recipients, which will at least tell you who has been receiving the tokens. Like this one here, Token Millionaire. Maybe that's some kind of distributor. Don't know. Checking the top recipients now.
While that loads, there's another question here, which is, where do you find interesting addresses to follow in the first place?
So normally you'd find them, even just looking at Token God mode, you can see some of these addresses doing interesting stuff. We've made it visually easy for you to spot the smart money by having this little emoji. And so here we have a Flash Boy that seems to have interacted with the Uniswap pool for Alchemist, either buying it or pulling out some of the liquidity they provided before. So that's like one way to spot them visually. Like, just look for these little emojis. You can also use My Nansen up here to save the addresses that you care about, and you get like an address book, which at the moment is like not super useful. It just gives you like almost like a bookmark list, but we are working on plugging in those addresses into the user interfaces as well. And we want to make it easy to, if you see an address, you should be able to quickly save it to your My Nansen address book, right? So that's something that we're going to add as well. But at the moment, you have to just manually copy it in. But so where do you find them? Like Token God mode, definitely good place. Smart Money, obviously, where you have all the Smart Money wallets and their activity, if you're particularly interested in Smart Money. And yeah, I think those are probably the two places I would start, like Smart Money and Token God mode for different tokens that you're interested in.
Yeah. And then when you find them, you can set up smart alerts.
Exactly.
So
that's right.
You can follow specific wallets and see when they're doing big transactions. And again, I'll reiterate, you should make it as specific as possible, or kind of as filtered as possible, so you're not getting pinged for every little contract approval that they do, or little kind of token sale. Another question here is, can you see which tokens are being most heavily accumulated or distributed by smart money wallets?
Yes, you can. If you go back to Smart Money again, actually, I think I had it open here. There we go. So you can see token transfers, right? And when you have Smart Money addresses buying, that's something you would be able to spot here. Well, token transfers and also DEX trades. Here it seems like they were actually dumping this Woo token, for example, right? The same address was dumping this quite a lot, quite recently. I think there's also here token holdings. So what's the change in token holdings the last day, 7 days, or 30 days? So here are some of the ones that have been accumulated. It's actually a lot of stable coins, which is kind of interesting.
That underscore on the Aave tokens hurts my eyes.
This one, yeah.
It's so ugly having the
Yeah.
token written out like that.
Yeah, I know. Agree. You can give feedback to the team. It's probably because it has two versions, like V1 and V2.
Well, I wonder how they've got it in their interface, like in Aave in Aave's interface.
Yeah, in Aave's interface, I think they just have two separate interfaces, like two separate front ends, right?
Right.
One is V1, one is V2. So I don't think there's any visual distinction as such.
So another way to check. Well, yeah, actually, yeah, this is probably a good way of checking these things. And one thing you can kind of make note of is the changes over these different time periods. So, for example, like if you see a token getting accumulated a lot in one day, but also in the past week and also in the past 30 days, that's kind of like a hot token. If you see a token getting accumulated in one day and 7 days, but not at all in the past 30 days, that means like in the past week, there's some action going on it. If you see a token that's been accumulated a lot over the past 30 days, but not in the past 1 or 7 days, like that's not currently a big opportunity, or it's not something necessarily that's being traded a lot. Yeah. All right, a couple more questions here. Is there a way to be alerted when smart money is among the first, say, 10 receivers of a new token?
Not at the moment. And I think it would cause a lot of false positives if you did that, because there's actually a lot of scam coins that send tokens to smart money addresses. So that's something also to be a bit careful with. It's a good thing to try to understand if they actually bought the token or if they just received it in an airdrop randomly. I mean, you could perhaps look at something like DEX trades, where they were the ones that actually enacted on a trade, and then only include those and see if they're among like the top 20 buyers or something of DEX trade using DEX trades, like 5 of them were smart money, and then you could be alerted. Something like that could be interesting.
Cool. Last one is maybe we can spend a couple minutes digging into USF on token God mode.
Sure. USF?
Yeah, I think it's Unslashed Finance.
Let's have a look. Do we have it here?
This is a request from, I'm not sure if it's pronounced Labby or Lady, in the chat.
Let's have a look. USF. So it looks like it's on Uniswap, also on Hotbit. Okay. So I like to just play around with the balance changes first, like to see who's accumulating and who's either selling or sending it somewhere else. One entity here, I'm not sure who that is, but someone who's active in DAO and governance. There's one smart money that has been receiving tokens. They first received them like 48 days ago, though. There's not a lot of there's some new accumulation, but not that much. Like this NFT collector picked it up for the first time 2 days ago. Medium Dex trader three days ago. Heavy Dex trader 3 days ago. If you look at big transactions, there's one smart money address there. It looks to me like they bought it and then just sold it again, right? They bought it like April 15th, and then April 17th, actually, we can double check that they didn't just provide liquidity, but actually, no, it was liquidity. They didn't buy and sell. They just added or removed liquidity. Sifu, smart money. 0xB1, okay. They're like everywhere.
So I think the farming on this one was you would put in ETH a while back. So I think they launched and you had to have some invite code to get into their farming, and then once you were in, you could put in ETH single asset staking and get reward tokens. I'm not sure. Maybe they just I guess they did start distributing the tokens 48 days ago, clearly. But maybe there was something that happened in the last 5 days or something, since this seems to be picking up quite a bit. And there's also
quite a few smart money in the top 20 here.
Yeah.
I just wanted to check this one. Here we go. Top recipients. So I guess these are like farmers or something like that. This is just listed as a token millionaire address or a contract. But I would imagine this is where you claim some, but it's only 11 though. Interesting. Only 11, and you have like 1, 2, 3, 4 smart money. Okay. Maybe this is like the seed round or something. I don't know. If there was like a seed funding. Oh, here's another one. This is top recipients on this high activity wallet. We should go back and get the team to hunt down what these addresses actually are.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the. I think they did a private round, if I'm not mistaken.
So 0xB1 was the biggest one.
Maybe.
So let's see what they did with their tokens. When did they first receive them?
One thing in that top recipients dashboard that we should probably have is when the last transaction was sent out, or like when they last received or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. It looks like they're pretty much providing liquidity for it. They're not dumping it. Yeah. So, you could also then say, well, let's just look at the Uniswap pool, right? And see who's been depositing into it. Guessing. Oh, there we go. Yeah, many of the same people. So there's a lot of smart liquidity providers there.
Yeah. So another thing that can be checked is for that. So when you see like tokens flowing around a bit and you want to check if a pool is incentivized. So for example, this wrapped ETH USF pool, if you want to see if there's any sort of like if you were to stake that somewhere and get additional rewards, you can take the LP token address, plug it into Token God Mode Custom, and then see if there's a bunch of LP tokens deposited in another contract.
Yeah. So you'd go here, Token God Mode Custom. You'd grab in this case, the depositor address, because the LP token is actually also the contract where you also your USF tokens. So we're doing now what Daniel said. We just grab that, and then we plug this one into the Token God Mode Custom. And the charts are going to look a bit funky because this is an LP token. But you can see here who is actually holding the LP token. So that's like kind of like another way actually to see. It looks like there's no incentives for the LP token itself, though, right?
Yeah, agreed.
So they're just providing liquidity for it, and that's it.
One thing that I haven't really thought through yet, I don't know if we want to think it through right now, is the difference in value, for example, for your balance of LP tokens versus on top depositors, and like how those numbers line up, because your balance, I guess, changes over time with impermanent loss.
Yeah.
Or like the kind of the value of your LP tokens changes. Whereas if you've deposited in a bunch of, like if you were to check ETH deposited into this pool, you would have like whatever, a fixed amount of ETH that you deposited in, it would show up differently in top depositors.
That's right. Yeah, those are two different things.
Yeah.
They're obviously heavily correlated, but they are different things. Not just that, just to complicate things even further. Well, actually, no, I was going to say, if you sell tokens to Uniswap, that would also be counted as deposits, but technically you would go through the router, so I don't think it would be. I think it is a pretty accurate reflection of just liquidity provisioning, the top depositors fee.
I just realized the time. I think we can probably wrap things
up. Time flies.
There. Yeah. It does. Time flies when you're exploring on-chain data.
That's right.
I guess one last one, we can just do like a lightning question. Tom here in the chat asks, which metrics do you find most useful in identifying short to medium term trading opportunities? So maybe you can just list out one metric that you look at.
I don't normally look at metrics that much, to be honest. I look at the more granular picture. So like I look at individual transactions. I think it's easier to, we've talked about this before, but a lot of crypto trading is really narrative based. And many narratives come from individual transactions. So if it's a large whale that made a transaction, if there's a specific VC firm that is accumulating, if it's the teams like team dumping their own token, that kind of stuff, that's what I look for mostly. I don't really look at aggregate metrics that much. I try to look for the story that's behind individual transactions. Having said that, of course, when you look at, say, a yield farm, you want to understand like who are the other participants that are in that farm. And so looking at the total deposits and what proportion you would be of those is, of course, very important because it's your yields will be a function of that. But I mean, I don't mean to dodge the question, but I actually don't look that much at like metrics as such. I look more at like individual transactions. So like accumulation patterns that you can see in the balance changes, you can see in the large transactions that we have right above that in token god mode. And as Daniel was saying, like smart contract interactions in the smart money dashboard, as well as specific smart contracts that have received a lot of capital inflow, which is what you can see in hot contracts. Like those are some of the things that I would look at. Yeah,
agreed. I rarely go from metric to action. I'll usually use the metrics to surface up for further things to look into. So if I see like a bunch of smart money depositing into a contract on hot contracts, then I'll dig deeper and start doing more due diligence. But like I don't go from seeing that number to aping in instantly. It just kind of helps identify things.
Yeah, I think maybe to just add to this, like many people come from maybe the traditional finance world where you think more like, hey, let's look at the Bloomberg charts, right? Like let's compare this metric to another metric. But in reality, I don't really think that's how crypto markets work. It's not like people are sitting down and comparing like TVL charts or, I mean, some people do obviously, but it's not that much about fundamentals in crypto. It's a lot more about like narratives, the social aspect of trading, seeing who else is aping in, and that kind of stuff. So I think it is maybe a bit of a paradigm shift compared to traditional markets in terms of like how to use data even. Like the data is often more granular in crypto, but in the traditional markets, you would look at much more macro views. And one very important reason for that is that you don't have the granular view in traditional finance. So you're left with only the macro picture, right? You can only look at the big picture, sort of, like very aggregated view. You can't actually look at the individual transactions because they're not available, but they are in blockchain. And that's why I think it's more interesting to look at the granular picture.
Yeah, agreed. All right, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for joining. It's a fun conversation. And the recap of this will be on YouTube. So that's probably where you're watching it right now. Thank you very much. And we'll be doing this session again next Wednesday. So join us then. like, follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff. we gotta figure out a good way of growing the channel.
Hit the subscribe button, the bell,
smash that like button.
Smash the
Let's
like
go.
button. I think we're gonna hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Actually, maybe we're already there now, but we're really close. So you might be the 1,000th subscriber. If that's not a reason enough to subscribe, I don't know what is.
Yeah, there you go. But don't wait to be the 1,000th. Go right now.
Yeah.
All right. Enough shilling. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers.